the Ferguson tragedy, a lot of things changed in the city of St. Louis. The results of the tragedy flooded the streets with chaos and turmoil. However, not all things resulting from Ferguson were negative. Leaders and opportunities and resources emerged from the chaos, and former officer Glenn Rogers created some resources to help race relations in different ways on interacting with the police. Welcome, Glenn, to the show. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you, Staci?
I cannot complain. So this is interesting. You actually have compiled a great deal of information that helps people avoid situations with police officers. But I wanted to ask you, what inspired you as an African-American man growing up in this area to become an officer?
Well, actually, I was not a police officer, but I was an insurance agent.
Okay.
And I saw so many police officers stopping people, including myself, that I became concerned. And one day I got stopped by a young white police officer that decided that he was going to teach me the power of the law. And after giving me a verbal lashing and all of that other stuff that people go through a lot of times, he decided not to even give me a ticket. So it must have been just his own ego. So at that point, I contacted a friend of mine that was a police chief. And he grew up in the neighborhood that I grew up, and I told him I needed a police badge. Said, I have no interest in being a cop. All I want to do is just be able to drive around peacefully, and when they flash their badge, I could flash mine.
Oh, okay. So how did that work out for you?
Well, when I got into the academy, I became absolutely amazed at what they teach police officers that they don't teach the public. You know, I've got a commercial pilot's license. I went to St. Louis College of Pharmacy 1 year and I dropped out. I've taken a lot of courses and no one ever taught me one law. So when I sat there in the academy and I kept day after day learning constitutional law, state law, municipal law, what cops could do and what they couldn't do, what the people should do. It dawned on me that that should have been taught, that should be taught to every person before they even graduate from high school.
Okay.
So I came to the conclusion that the reason that it was being done was to give the cops an unfair advantage.
Of course, okay.
Now, let me say this. I am not anti-cop. I'm anti-bad, corrupt, immoral, unfair cop.
And you're pro-educating the public about what they know and we don't.
Absolutely.
I see. So after getting on the side of law enforcement, did you find that you could have an impact on the training of officers and how to approach people in the community that looked like you, or did you feel like you'd be better served doing what you're doing now?
Well, I actually just retired because my time was up and I was actually tired of it.
Okay.
But, you know, I've got a ministerial background, so I like to run my mouth. I like to talk to people. I'm used to being in front of crowds. And having learned what I learned in the academy made me persuaded that the public had to know. And I get so tired of seeing these young brothers and sisters go to jail, get charged with interfering with a police officer and, you know, or resisting arrest and all of these different things when they had no clue what really the details were that constituted resisting arrest and so forth. So I put 22 years of what I learned on an audio training.
Nice. And
after Michael Brown, I became really sought after. I've been in a number of the newspapers and on national TV.
Right.
And it was kind of strange to me because during my career, I was opposed violently, consistently, because I wouldn't go along with the good old boy system.
Right.
But there was enough good cops out there that my career, you know, it made it through the years. And I said, well, you know, I think what needs to be done is I need to stop and I need to let other people learn what I think is so critical. And I put it all on a audio training so they could download it right to their computer.
It's downloadable and you can go and you can get the information. And we're going to talk more about that and what's available there and how it came to be. So make sure you keep it locked right here. Keep it locked. Yeah, don't go anywhere because we're going to have more with Glenn Rogers about his audiobook after the break. So stay with us.